Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to spend part of your Wednesday evening with me. Today is September 13th, and wow, they finally got that prisoner. So, we don't have to sit on YouTube and watch that all day anymore. Not that I was doing that because I was just waiting till he got caught. Thank God they caught him. Thank God it's over. You know, thank God the people in Pennsylvania can sleep at night, hopefully, because they finally got that guy in custody. I'm not going to cover that. But if you want to see that coverage, everybody else is covering it. So you can go on anywhere else, I think. Maybe they're done by now. I don't know. Did you guys watch the coverage? If you watched the coverage on the prisoner and you were totally addicted to it, put a W in the chat. I'm interested to see how many people were addicted to that. Because it seemed like anybody who was there was one guy who was live streaming it for like 11 hours straight. It was crazy. I came upon this story last night, this Kevin Porter Jr. story. And I was outraged. I am outraged. If you haven't heard about this story and you have a daughter or a girlfriend or a granddaughter or a sister, you might be horrified when I tell you what's going on in New York with bail reform, because this is mind-blowing, in my opinion. Maybe I'm overreacting. Come for me in the comments. Come for me in the comments. I welcome it, because if there's one person who can give me an explanation for what I read and saw and what happened in court with regard to this case, please tell me. Tell me that you think that the right thing was done here in the Manhattan courtroom yesterday with regard to this case. Admittedly, I am not a basketball fan. I don't follow basketball. This is not going to be a show about basketball. This has nothing to do with how I feel about basketball or athletes or look, I love college football. As you know, here's my Buffs, go Buffs. And I love hockey. I'm a Ranger fan. I don't follow baseball. I mean, look, I've been a Yankee fan my whole life. My family had season tickets, but like for me, and come for me in the comments on this too, baseball is like watching grass grow. It just takes forever. There's no time limit. It takes forever. Like you got to commit a whole day if you want to watch a baseball game on TV. Hockey is quick. It's over. It's exciting. Love it. College football, love it. NFL, it's okay. Basketball, I never really got into basketball. I just didn't. But I got a problem with DV, a big problem with DV, and you know that. And I know how many of you in my chat and in my comments are survivors of DV, and this is going to make your blood boil. So, if you know already or have read something or even a quick blurb about what happened allegedly between NBA star player, I don't even know if he's a star, quite frankly, but I'm going to guess that he is, because he just was awarded something like an $85 million contract in 2022. So Kevin Porter Jr. is a basketball player who allegedly assaulted his girlfriend in a New York City hotel in the early morning hours of September 11th on Monday. If you know about this story, give me a 1 in the chat. If you do not know, give me a 2 in the chat, because I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. First person to tell me what movie that comes from gets a trophy, or at least like a little round of applause. Number 2, a lot of people have not heard about this yet. Okay, all right. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but yes, Ed Network, you know it. And you know me, I'm not afraid to talk about the tough topics, because we're going to unpack this. And if you live in New York, I would encourage you to contact your local legislators about what is going on in New York with bail reform. Let me just give you a little summary about what went down in the hotel on Monday morning, which was September 11th. Apparently, this guy, Kevin Porter Jr., who is a basketball player with the Houston Rockets, came to New York with his girlfriend for Fashion Week. She is a former WNBA player, and her name is Kysre Gondrezick. I had to look it up, how to pronounce it, because her name is spelled in a way where I did not want to disparage her by pronouncing her name wrong. I did not think that was correct. So her name is Kysre Gondrezick. Beautiful girl. Apparently, Kevin Porter came back to the hotel room. They were staying at the Millennium Hilton New York Hotel, the one that's over near the UN, I believe. He came back to the hotel in the early morning hours, and he was angry because the door was locked to his hotel room and she was sleeping. So he had to go down, I think, to the front desk, and I think security let him in the room. And when he got into the room, allegedly, he's 23 years old, by the way, and Kysre is 26 years old. Allegedly, he repeatedly punched her in the face and choked her until she couldn't breathe. According to the New York Post, the savage beatdown allegedly only stopped when Gondrezick fled the room and was found bloodied and bruised by hotel employees in the hall. Prosecutors said during Porter's arraignment in Manhattan criminal court. The pro baller, whose full name is Brian Kevin Porter Jr., was arrested about 6:30 a.m. Monday and charged with assault and strangulation after cops received a 911 call about the alleged attack. The New York Post reports that, according to what was said in court by the prosecutors, that Kysre told officers that he had struck her with a closed fist multiple times, leaving her with an inches-long gash above her right eye. Do you know how hard you have to punch somebody to get their forehead to split open? And when she was taken to the hospital, I think she went to NYU Langone, doctors confirmed that he had broken her neck. He broke her neck. She had a fractured vertebrae. This happened in a New York City hotel room, allegedly. No, it definitely happened there. I mean, they were there when this allegedly happened. And I am just going to submit to you, if something like this could potentially happen in a public place like a hotel, imagine what could happen in private when there's no security, when there's no guests in other rooms. Okay. Let's look at some coverage because, as you know, I like to go to the local channels. So this is from, let me credit them properly. This is from ABC 13 in Houston, because remember, these people don't live in New York. He does not live in New York. He's a resident of Texas. So let's listen to what these reporters have to say about this. Oh, I see the sound is not on there. 1 second. Hold on. It's not you, it's me. When you have a double screen. Okay, here we go. I just got to get the volume on for you guys. Hold on 1 second. Don't hate me. It's coming.
Today, Houston Rockets guard Kevin Porter Jr. pleaded not guilty to assaulting his girlfriend in a New York hotel room.
Everybody across the country talking about this one. Well, Porter had signed a sizable contract worth more than $15 million next season with the Rockets, despite the fact he had a history of trouble. Greg Bailey joins us with what we know about this latest case. Greg.
Erica and Eric, plenty of fans and viewers are asking this question this evening. Why haven't the Rockets already cut ties with guard Kevin Porter Jr. or at least suspended him? We'll get to that after the latest from Porter's case. The Rockets guard posting a $75,000 cash bail today in New York. Porter facing 2 felony charges after he allegedly beat his girlfriend early on Monday morning. According to prosecutors, doctors at NYU's Langone Medical Center say the victim in the case suffered a fractured vertebrae in her neck. Porter has been charged with strangulation as well as assault. He is now due back in court on October the 16th. Under the league policy that the NBA and its players had previously agreed to, the Rockets are not allowed to punish Porter while the league conducts its own investigation. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver does have the authority to place Porter on administrative leave with pay. Once the investigation wraps up, the commissioner can fine, suspend, or disqualify any player who violates the league's domestic violence policy.
Okay, so like I said, this isn't about basketball for me directly. Am I the only person who's completely floored by this? He has a history of DV. He has a history of other violent offenses that we'll go through. He has access to multiple firearms. But when he appears before the New York criminal court judge, Michael Ryan, under New York bail laws, the judge is required to give the least restrictive means regarding bail and release that will allow the defendant to show up in court again, regardless of his prior history, regardless of his access to firearms, whether he may be a serial DV offender. Judges aren't given a lot of discretion in New York. We've been trying to change that. So far, it hasn't changed. So this guy who makes $15 million a year, folks, was released on a $75,000 cash bail and told to please come back to court on October 16th, which happens to also be, I think, the beginning of preseason basketball. I don't know. Somebody can, correct me in the comments. Let me know what you think. But apparently they can't even suspend him. So when I took to Twitter last night, because I only really go to Twitter when I'm really mad about something, because I just want to see if other people are mad about it too. Here's what I found instead. Guy named, let's see, where should we go first? Where should we go first? Let's go to Bobby Marks's tweet. He works for ESPN. He is the front office insider. They call him at ESPN. Here's what Bobby Marks had to say on Twitter. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can read it. I would not expect any discipline against Kevin Porter Jr. until there's a full investigation by the NBA. The Rockets can certainly tell Porter Jr. to stay away during training camp. Porter Jr. signed a 4-year, $72.6 million rookie extension last October. The league has jurisdiction to void the contract under the provisions of the domestic violence policy. And then he goes into the specifics of the full contract breakdown as if that's the most important part of this story. Here's the contract breakdown for you. And if you want to come back, I'm just going to scroll slowly through this because I'm so sick. I don't even want to read it to you. But here's the talk of his contract, $15.9 million, fully guaranteed the first year, $15.9 million, which is only $1 million guaranteed in the second year. It increases to $3 million if he's not waived by the Rockets. And it goes on and on and on to break down his contract. Okay, cool, right? Cool. Okay, so let's see then what the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, had to say about this, because he gave a speech at the St. Regis at the NBA Board of Governors meeting, and this was posted today at 4 p.m. So this is today's the 13th, right? Yeah, sometimes I got to go up to the corner of my computer to tell you what day it is. All right, we're going to see what he had to say about this.
The allegations here are horrific, no question about it. But I don't know anything more, of course, about the actual facts other than reading those allegations. We have a domestic violence policy that was collectively bargained with the Players Association. Again, when I say bargain, I mean there was not a contentious issue. They certainly feel as strongly as we do about the issue. Every case, though, also depends on its unique facts. I think here, when we're not in season, there's a little bit more of an opportunity to absorb what's happening before we act. I think if it were a case where we're in the middle of a season, we might be compelled to do something faster. And so while ultimately we're required to be deferential to law enforcement when there's an investigation, and clearly there's an investigation now, I think this has given us the opportunity, because we're not in season or not, training camps haven't opened yet, to take a little bit of time here to better understand the situation. And one thing I've learned over many years of working on these cases is that not to assume anything here, and that to not just rely on headlines, but to try to truly understand what's happening here as a combination of what law enforcement has learned and direct interviews. And so we're still now in the process of gathering information. The allegations here are horrific.
Am I in the Twilight Zone? We need a little time to absorb this. We need some time to absorb this, because, if we were in the regular season, we might really want to get on this a little more quickly and we would really do something about it. But, there's a lot of stories here. We don't really know what the truth is. Because maybe she beat the bejesus out of herself, right? Maybe she slammed her head against, fell in the bathtub, caused a gash to herself. And then, in addition to the strangulation marks around her neck, she choked herself so hard that her neck broke. Can anybody explain this to me? Did anybody think that was, a horrifying statement? Yeah, her neck is broken. Yes, Angie, her neck is broken. But, we don't really have to rush to judgment, according to Adam Silver, because we're not in the regular season. So we can really take our time to try and understand what happened here. Amy in Boston, you're always agreeing with me, and you always are the voice of reason when even I feel like I'm getting a little bit off the rails. But yes, why did he even get bail? Because in New York State, the judge doesn't even have any discretion. No discretion. Hello, mother. How about interview the victim? Yeah, well, what's interesting about that, Ma, is that they did interview her, and those were her statements that she gave. But no, because I know, Mom, you and I both read the Post, and that's where we get our news. So here's what came out today after Adam Silver spoke. All of a sudden, her attorney came out today and made a statement. Oh, because yesterday, wait a second, her sister took to Instagram. I want to show you this. Her sister is an influencer, and her sister took to Instagram. And remember, this guy has a history of DV against Kysre. So this is not the first time. He rammed his car into her car, some other allegations. So Kysre's sister posted this on Instagram yesterday. Somebody got the receipt because she had to take it down, because apparently she probably got a lawyer from his a letter from his lawyer saying, cease and desist, you better take this down because this is a threat. And she says, Kevin Porter Jr., if you think you gonna touch my sister and not get touched, count your effing days. Better hope and pray you'll be able to ever walk again, let alone dribble. You may have gotten away with this S in the past because your mama ain't beat your ass, but we spank little punk ass painting nails sissy biatches like you every day. Don't show up to that crib. We gonna do it to you, little biatch. They made her take it down. If that was my sister that this happened to, I don't know that I would just be posting on Instagram. But I mean, that's all she could really do, right? But I guess they thought it was threatening. And so she was probably threatened that she better take it down or they were going to come after her for, I don't know, defamation. Because, innocent till proven guilty, right? Well, Kysre's lawyer came out today, and this story broke at 2:11 p.m. today, Eastern time. I also found a video on Twitter, and I know it's called X now, but I'm always going to call it Twitter. I just am because I just can't get on board with the name change, like New Coke. Like, why did they even have to do that? I will always call it Twitter. It will always be Twitter to me. Kysre's attorney spoke to the press today, and he's asking people to avoid speculation about what really happened in the hotel room Monday morning before Kevin Porter Jr. was arrested and charged with assault and strangulation and then released on $75,000 cash bail from Manhattan Criminal Court. So they're quoting a source close to her saying that she has not made a statement to the cops about the incident. I tried to get a copy of the original police report. Can't find it anywhere. In fact, when I went to look him up in the New York criminal court system, he was not even in there yet. That's how fresh this case is, that they didn't even put his information into the system. And the lawyer further says that what has been reported from her side is, quote, misleading and inaccurate, without elaborating on specifics. He complained to the press that what is being attributed to her is inaccurate and to please stop it. Robert Hartman, her attorney, or one of her attorneys, told the Post exclusively in a statement on Wednesday morning, that's today, Ms. Gondrezick wants to express her deepest appreciation for the public's support and prayers in regards to our client. Much that has been written in the press attributing statements to her are misleading and inaccurate. She has not granted nor released any statements on her own volition. The statement further adds that she asks everyone to respect her privacy and avoid speculation as to what occurred and refrain from disclosing any misleading statements as to Mr. Porter. She asked that the press and all officials refrain from any judgment and speculation on this matter, which will be rectified properly and with integrity. Thank you. That's her statement. Anybody in the chat have any idea what that's all about? No, her lawyer is supporting her, Sharon. She directed her lawyer to make that statement. What do you think that statement was all about? Anybody have a guess? I think maybe he opened his checkbook, dropped the charges, give you some money. Allegedly, maybe, just a theory. I'm speculating. Are we getting a grip on why it's so difficult for victims of DV to come forward? What are we teaching our kids? I mean, I have 3 teenage daughters, like, told you that before. Talk to my kids about the stories that I'm going to do and try and teach them something. And the only time I can do this is like when I'm driving them somewhere or they're in the car with me, because then I have their undivided attention if they don't have headphones in. She's been dating this guy. I don't know for how long. I think they started dating last year. She is clearly afraid, I think, Yes, Trace. Yes, she's probably terrified of him. It's unfathomable he's still free. Oh, but they did issue a temporary restraining order so that, he can't go near her. Because, how men, I'm not going to say him, or men or women or people who are abusers absolutely abide by any order of protection. They never go after somebody and, actually try and maybe kill him this time. I don't even care if I get demonetized. Demonetize me, YouTube. I don't care. The 7 dirty words you can't say on YouTube, or they're going to demonetize you. This is a problem. Why was he not charged with attempted murder? I'm waiting. Yes, wild lights are. Yeah. That piece of paper is going to stop him. Because really, it's more important that he get out there so he can play, I was going to say football, so that he can play basketball. Thank you, Pierre. Walk right through the restraining order. Yep. What if he strangled instead of his actual girlfriend? What if he strangled the hotel maid because he got mad that she knocked on the door? Would that have made a difference in the charges? Would they have held him? Probably not, because in New York, judges don't have the discretion to hold him, even if he's dangerous and has access to firearms. Are we teaching our daughters that it's okay for the guy that you're with to beat the crap out of you because courts don't really take it seriously? Even if he gets arrested, he's just going to walk out of there at the end of the day, and then he might be even more mad at you. And then what's going to happen? She was sleeping when he started beating on her. Sleeping. I saw on Twitter other people talking about this is horrific. You can just go on Twitter and find these things for yourselves. You don't have to take my word for it. But apparently people were saying things like, don't let the recent controversy and reports make you forget that Kevin Porter Jr.'s game is nice. Things like, what did she do that caused him to want to beat her up so badly? What did she do? Really? That's what we're talking about here? We're talking about whether the guy should be continued to, how much money they should have to pay him, whether he's going to be able to play, what does she do to cause him to get so mad? How about this? As I said to my daughter, how about this? You don't ever lay hands on a woman, ever. 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 Walk away. Walk away, dude. Walk away. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she was asking for it. That is what the comments are like on Twitter. That is what the comments were like in the New York Post. That is what is going on out there. Help me understand this. Oh my God, is Robbie here? Is Robbie in the chat? I heard somebody say hi to Robbie, but I haven't been watching the chat because I'm so mad. Hi, Robbie. We haven't seen you in a long time. How's Australia? Thanks for joining. So apparently, Kevin Porter Jr. has a long list of priors. He was drafted from USC. He's got a lot of anger management issues. This is just a little smattering of his history of misconduct. In 2019, he was suspended by USC for, quote, personal conduct issues. Exact reasons unknown. In 2020, he was accused of punching a woman. Charges were not pressed. In 2020, he was also arrested for handling firearms in a vehicle, marijuana possession, and driving without a license. In 2021, he apparently had a verbal altercation with the Cavs GM for moving his locker. I don't know if it was just verbal. And he was traded to Houston at that time. Then something happened at a strip club where there was some sort of altercation. I read something else where he was at a party and he didn't like the DJ or what he was playing. So he, I think, got a hold of the DJ's laptop and smashed it to bits. In 2022, he had a dispute with Rockets coach John Lucas at halftime and he angrily left mid-game. And, you know, these are things that are all public. Again, what is he doing in private? Then Monday, he's arrested on felony assault and strangulation charges, accused of breaking his girlfriend's neck, and he got out on $75,000 cash bail. This is the world we're living in New York, folks. So while we were in the car today, I asked my daughter to please Google felony domestic assault penalties in Texas. And the Texas penalties are a lot stronger. So I guess he's lucky in a way, in a sense, that he was in New York when he chose to get arrested for this, allegedly, because, you know, innocent until proven guilty.
I missed something. Can you say it again?
That's really funny because my you-know-who over there thought I was talking to her and she started
I don't know that.
talking back to me. So I saw another story today that in Suffolk County, there was 30 drug dealers were arrested on Long Island for peddling something called Trank, which is apparently this new drug, I think, that turns people into zombies, cocaine and fentanyl. And according to these, again, these bail laws that we have here in New York, only 10 of the defendants of the 30 could be held on bail, and the other 20 were automatically released as we stood helplessly by, said Suffolk County DA Ray Tierney. So there were 30, I guess, gang members that were arrested and charged with these horrific drug deals that are killing our children and our residents here in New York. And let's just let them out. Because under New York's 2019 criminal justice reform, only Class A felonies, the most serious, are eligible for bail. And apparently the judges don't even have any discretion to hold anybody. So Kevin Porter Jr. just walked right the hell out of there. I'm going to go to the comments for a bit. See what you guys think about this. Am I crazy? Am I overreacting? Thank you, Pierre, for the $10 super chat. If I was involved in a DV case and the main DA said they would pursue it, even if I didn't testify, I couldn't drop the charges if I wanted to. I didn't want to. What's the law in New York? I'm not going to pretend that I know everything, and the laws are changing so quickly that I believe they can still pursue a case against him even if she doesn't testify. But and you know, and there were other witnesses. She apparently crawled out into the hallway where she was bloody and beaten and found by hotel employees. So there are witnesses to this. It's not like, you know, a lot of these DV cases are he said, she said. So without the witness testimony, there really isn't a case. So I think they could pursue it if they wanted to. Hudson, there's a lot to this. What creates these narcissistic trash cans, but being paid millions to play with a ball when you barely have 2 brain cells is a big one. Donna, I agree. I'm so glad she made it out alive. Yeah, this could have been a very, very different outcome because, you know, talk about narcissism. You can talk about psychopathy. Maureen, thank you for the 299 super sticker. I appreciate you. Perhaps this is generational because when I was researching this case today, I found an article in Sportskeeda about Kevin Porter Jr.'s dad. And if this has been debunked, let me know. But I'm pretty sure that it was debunked and then it turned out to be true because there was a Kevin Porter who played basketball. This is not the same guy. This is not the NBA player, Kevin Porter Sr. This is a different Kevin Porter Sr., which I believe is his father. That's what it says in this article. So in 1993, when Kevin Jr., the one who was arrested on Monday, was 19 years old, his father was charged with first-degree murder. Generational. According to reports, an eyewitness alleged that Porter removed his gun, pointed it at a 14-year-old girl, and told her he was going to shoot her, and he proceeded to shoot her in his car. His story was that she asked to see the gun, this 14-year-old girl. He was 19, she was 14, and that the gun accidentally discharged when he was handing it to her. There was a witness who later recanted his testimony that Porter intentionally shot the girl. I don't know who the witness was. Oh, the eyewitness who said that he removed his gun, pointed it at her and said, "I'm going to shoot you." Yeah, so that witness recanted. So his father was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison after pleading guilty to a lesser charge of intentional manslaughter. After he was released from prison, then Kevin Jr. was born in May of 2000. And his father died in 2004 after he was shot 5 times in a bar fight. He was not allowed to attend his father's funeral because his mother did not want him to have any bad memories of his father. So this kid is born into a violent family already. His father's already served time in prison for manslaughter. I'm not speechless very often, but this is leaving me kind of speechless, you guys. I don't get it. I don't get it. And we're talking about whether this guy is going to be able to play basketball, because that's the most important part of this story, according to everybody on Twitter. I want to play a clip for you from ESPN because I felt so uncomfortable for the woman reporter who had to report on this story and sit there and listen to what her, I don't know if he's her co-host or what he had to say. So hang on for 1 second, because this is, it's uncomfortable for me. Let me know if it's uncomfortable for you. This is from ESPN.
Houston Rockets guard Kevin Porter Jr. was arrested and charged with assault and strangulation after allegedly assaulting his girlfriend at a New York hotel on Monday morning. That's according to a New York City police spokesperson. And at Porter's arraignment today, prosecutors, they said the attack left a woman with a fractured neck vertebrae. So, Woj, how are the NBA and how is the Houston Rockets approaching this?
Yeah, the league's launched an investigation, Malika, and they'll handle it in the near term. I think the Houston Rockets, and just by the bylaws, they can't suspend him. They can't waive him while this investigation's going on. But Adam Silver could put Kevin Porter Jr. on administrative leave. But certainly, I think his future in Houston is very much in jeopardy. I think his future in the NBA, given Kevin Porter Jr.'s, going back a number of years to the USC, Cleveland Cavaliers, the Houston Rockets, problems have followed him. And there have been teams, certainly Cleveland drafted him late in the first round and essentially gave up on him. And you look at his contract in Houston, it was a very team-friendly deal, non-guaranteed money after the first year. They would be on the hook for about almost $17 million if the Rockets were to waive him once he's either convicted or the league comes down with a penalty. But there's no question Kevin Porter Jr.'s future, not just with the Rockets, but in the NBA, I think is very much in peril. These are extremely serious allegations.
How uncomfortable did that female reporter look having to report on that story when they were focusing on the money? on the money. How much it was going to cost the Rockets? Adam Silver could, what did I write down here? He did launch an investigation, but he can't suspend or waive him, but he could do something. But we saw what Adam Silver had to say, and he said, we're going to, wait and see what happens. Not really a rush because it's not during the season and they need time to absorb this. What are we absorbing, people? What are we absorbing? Apparently, according to Twitter, an hour ago, the Rockets were attempting to trade Kevin Porter along with draft compensation in wake of his charges of felony assault. They had contacted multiple teams offering draft compensation as an incentive to take on Kevin Porter. It's like a game of hot potato. They don't want the bad press from this guy, so they're gonna trade him. And in fact, then there was a report about an hour ago that he was traded. So let me see where this is. Oh, here's my favorite tweet so far. I think I read that he was traded to the Charlotte Hornets. Like I said, I'm not a huge basketball fan, but tweet of the day. This guy says, per my sources, Alcatraz, Cook County Jail, the Atlanta Penitentiary, and a fourth mystery bidder are said to be interested in Rockets guard Kevin Porter Jr. Big shakeups are coming to the prison league. Like I said, I don't know anything about any other basketball players that this has happened to. I am focusing on this case because this happened in New York. And this is DV on a woman. I don't care. This isn't about race. This isn't about wealth. This isn't about ethnicity. This is about abuse of women and the fact that some guy could break your neck in a hotel room and beat you so bad that you're crawling out into the hallway bloody. And he's taken away and released the next day because he happened to have $75,000 in cash. The prosecution had asked them to give him a $100,000 bail, but the judge decided to downward modify that to $75,000. Hi, Monique. Do you think if she had died, God forbid, the response would be, oh, of course. Oh, of course. Then if it was murder, because then it would be murder, right? Then they wouldn't even let him out on bail because that would be something that's really dangerous. But apparently what he did wasn't, dangerous enough for them to hold him because we know he's going to abide by that restraining order, right, you guys? Anybody ever know anybody who's violated a protective order to actually go and then cause far worse damage to his or her victim? Thank you, Hudson. And she was asleep. Nothing would warrant this, but damn, there was nothing to even walk away from. He needs to get premeditated attempted murder. Thank you. Thank you for seeing the light. I began to think, the more that I looked into this story, the more tweets I read, the more comments I read in the articles that I was reading, that I was missing something. Like what? She deserved it? Is that what I'm missing? I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. Let me just show you a picture of her because we have not even honored her with a picture yet. So, I like to make this show about the victims. And I was going to do a show about the victims of that Danilo Cavalcante because I don't feel like anybody's been talking about the victims. They've been like, everyone's, so excited that they're chasing this prisoner for 2 weeks and I don't even know this full story. And I started to do a deeper dive into the victims of Danilo Cavalcante because, he stabbed his girlfriend here in the US 33 times in front of her 2 kids. Nobody's talking about her. And nobody's talking about the guy that he killed in like a village square in Brazil before he fled the country and got into our country. Here she is. Kysre Gondrezick. And there they are together. And now it seems like she's recanting her story. And that breaks my heart. Here he is again, perp walk. This is going in to the police car. Apparently when he came out of jail after posting his $75,000 cash, he went into a waiting car, which was probably a limousine or an SUV. Oh, thank you. I'm sent. Okay. There are YouTubers who are victim centric for the prisoner case. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that, because everything that I kind of came across was all just like, it was like Prisoner Watch Central, where people were just sort of watching the hunt. But I'm glad to hear that. I hope so. Tom Cusinelli. Hi, Tom. Beautiful lady she is. Ava Hawkshaw praying for her strength. Heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking, and it sounds like now she's being, I'm not going to say coerced, suggested that maybe it didn't happen the way she initially didn't report that it happened. She's being gaslit. Help me, people, help me. Okay, women's lives are worth zero when it comes to big sports players. Sickening. He deserves to be in jail, not traded to another team. Can you believe this? Can you believe this? Like, that's the news of the day. Hot potato. Who wants him? You can have him real cheap. We don't want to be involved in this. Yes, Monique. Yes, Monique. Very few aggressive, entitled people obey a restraining order. Future coming in with the deets 38 times. That's the number of times that Cavalcante stabbed his girlfriend. Is that what we're saying? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Don't forget to hit the like button. It's free and it helps the YouTube algorithm so that everyone can hear my angry rant. Right. Kelt. Yeah. Oh, I know. She knew what he was like. If she wasn't okay with it, she would have left. Has anybody thrown that at her yet? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Why didn't she just leave? Because that's what they do to victims. They re-victimize them. And not everybody understands how complicated these relationships can be. Because after, maybe the first couple times that he I don't know if he's ever beat the bejesus out of her before, but, if he apologized and, bought her some flowers or a bracelet or something, maybe she thought that he would change. I don't know. But this frightens me for what our children are learning about how unimportant an offense like this is. Do I have any defenders in the chat? Any defenders? Everyone's entitled to bail. Tell me if I have a defender. Come for me in the comments. I'm making t-shirts, you guys. I'm making t-shirts. Nancy Furman, does your audience realize how many women die at the hands of an intimate partner? No. I think they do. My audience does. Yes, my audience does. Because every time I do a show, and a lot of my shows are focused on, I got a child CA and CSA, and I've been a victim's advocate, survivor's advocate for survivors my entire 30-year legal career. It's my wheelhouse. It's what I do. So the people that follow me know that. And every time I do a show, like the Ruby Franke show, the Jodi Hildebrand case, I've been following that a lot lately. And before I saw that hit the news, I had no idea who Ruby Franke was. And now Ruby Franke haunts my nightmares. The things that she did to her children. If there's anybody here, who has not followed me before, if you're here for the first time, Let's do put a 3 in the chat if you're here for the first time today. So I'm a New York lawyer. I have 30 years experience in New York state and federal courts as a litigator. I am also a mother of 5. I'm a working actor, and now apparently I'm a YouTuber. So the cases that I cover are cases that I have a very strong connection to, that I feel very strongly about. Which is why, I didn't really follow that prisoner story. I went on with Duty Ron, I think once or twice, to give like a mom's perspective and a legal perspective, but I wasn't going to come on here for 4 hours a day and cover that with you guys, because it just wouldn't be genuine. And if I'm going to have a channel, it's going to be genuine and it's going to be authentic, and you're not always going to like what I have to say. Like this sign behind me says, "You can't make everyone happy. You are not a cupcake." I am not a cupcake. If you watch me, if you watch this channel, I'm not always going to make you happy. I'm not a cupcake. And if you want to see channels with people who have no opinions, who just do like photo montages, they don't even really come on camera, and it's narrated by a robotic AI voice, then, that's what you should watch. But if you want to hear somebody who has real opinions and who's not afraid to talk about them, and this is also a very interactive channel. I go live mostly because I don't like editing, and like if I make videos, I feel like I'm in a void and I don't get to interact with people, and I want to know what you guys think about this, because I want to know that I'm not crazy. No new lady. Oh wow, I live outside of Houston but never watch local news, so I haven't heard of this. Well, he's your guy. He plays for your basketball team apparently. So if you live outside of Houston, what's it like there for offenders of DV? Is it hard to prosecute? Did they get off easy with a little slap on the wrist and get out of jail pretty much free, with like a little hey, come on back on October 16th and we'll have a chat then. Wildlight Art says, "I never imagined as a teen in the 90s reading Ms. Magazine that we'd still be here in 2023. This is about misogyny." Yep. What are our kids learning now? Kathy, "It's only a broken neck and split head. Our justice system is not very just." Nope. Sure isn't. Thank you, Susie Blue Sky. All about money. "I can't sleep tonight in UK. Feels like I'm dreaming this. It's that bad." Yep. I couldn't sleep last night either. I couldn't sleep last night. And I wanted to come on here and I wanted to talk about this because I am so angry about this that I could spit nails. But I don't know that I would have had an audience last night because of the whole prisoner thing. That prisoner watch took up about 2 weeks of YouTube time. And I wanted people to engage with me on this because I want to know that I'm not crazy. She's being gaslit. She's being gaslit. And I think what's happening here is maybe there's going to be some sort of payment coming to just drop the charges, not testify, and go away. Because, you don't want to ruin his career. You don't want to ruin his, I don't even remember, 80-something million deal. There's different reports. Some say 63 million, some say 80 million. I don't know. You don't want to ruin his life. Mind to Jane, "This is why he can't stay out of trouble. He's never been held accountable for the stuff he's done because he's a very good athlete. Why stop when you get bailed out?" Right. I say this all the time. There needs to be ramifications for your behavior. And if you don't have ramifications for your behavior, why would you have any incentive to change your behavior? Thank you, Moonlight View. I'm here for it. I am here for it. Oh, thank you. Here's a new subscriber. Thank you. We're so happy to have you. Ange B. Wills 22. Thank you. Because we're all about fighting for the little guys. And usually it's women. I'm going to say it. Usually it's the women that are getting screwed in cases like this. Yep. Thanks, Iris. I'm definitely the see something, say something kind of person. Not many are. Nope. A lot of people are going to talk about the story, and I saw it. Like, there wasn't a lot of coverage because I don't like to watch what other YouTubers are saying, other YouTubers. but I just want to know if anybody else is covering it, and then I may watch just a little bit of it. And it was a lot of like not defending him, but like talking about how his career was going to be over. Like there was no focus on what he allegedly did, what should allegedly happen to him. I'm just like blown away by this. Thanks, baby doll in Mississippi. I think that's Mississippi, MS, right? If police are called out for DV, one person's going to jail. It hasn't always been that way, though. I mean, look, I think that we can agree that there are oftentimes false allegations, perhaps, in cases that we have seen where there are custody proceedings pending. Oftentimes there could be false allegations made against the other spouse because one of the spouses wants custody. Those are more the he said, she said kind of things. We see some 911 calls with body cam footage where it seems like whoever made the call just wants to kind of get this on the record to help their court case. We saw that with Lindsay Shiver, if anybody knows, if you're watching that case with me, the woman who is accused of trying to put together a murder for hire plot in the Bahamas with her Bahamian boyfriend that she was cheating on her husband with. And they were going to hire some third guy to unalive him, but the plot was thwarted. But Lindsay Shiver had been making a couple 911 calls, and there's all kinds of body cam footage, and she was very calm, but it was kind of like she just wanted to make a record. So yeah, false allegations are a huge issue. That is right. Also not addressed with punishment in many cases. Look, and if we're going to talk about that, there's a lot of also CPS calls that are sort of they're anonymous, first of all. So you can really make a CPS in New York. You can make a CPS call against anybody that you kind of want to screw over without really any proof. So a lot of times they're done contentiously. But our girl Kysre crawled into the hotel hallway, bloody and beaten. Not really sure what the what the problem is with the proof there. I don't get it. But in Texas, they've got stricter laws against DV. Sadly, all right. Okay, here's an interesting article in CBS Sports. It's entitled, "Sadly, the allegations against Kevin Porter Jr. aren't shocking. Why didn't help come sooner?" So, guess they've known about his propensities, his violent propensities for a long time, but what? He's such a great player. They just didn't want to get rid of him. It's not the first time. As I was researching this story, I came across a bunch of other players that apparently this domestic violence provision in the NBA contract didn't really help out with. This reporter says, the question stemming from the latest allegations against Kevin Porter Jr. isn't whether or not the Houston Rockets guard should play again in the NBA. He shouldn't. He said, and he goes on to talk about the allegations, and he says, unless these grotesque allegations are suddenly and irrefutably proven to be untrue, there's no way Porter Jr. ever takes the floor again in an NBA game. But we just saw on Twitter that he may have been traded to the Charlotte Hornets. So I don't know. Did they give him away for free? Oh, or a draft pick or something? He says, the question before us is how, after so many red flags and warnings, the Houston Rockets allowed him into an NBA locker room again in the first place. And why, after this latest alleged act of violence, there would even be a remote question of anyone actually thinking of taking a chance on him again. Hello, Charlotte. Are you out there? Throughout his career, the only thing more constant than Porter Jr.'s promise on the court was the promise of trouble off of it. Then he goes into his history that we already talked about. Back in college, he was suspended at USC for 2 games for conduct issues. He was involved in a 1-car crash and charged with improper handling of a firearm in 2020. Though all charges were eventually dismissed, the concerns surrounding him were not. It says the Cavs got rid of him, not because he didn't have talent. He has ample talent, but because of character issues. He began yelling and throwing things in the locker room. Then he had a confrontation with the GM. Then he was suspended. Then the NBA fined him $50,000 in April 2021 for violating the league's health and safety rules by visiting a Miami strip club. But it seems like we're talking about his contract, what team he's going to go to next, instead of how there should be maybe a 0 tolerance policy for DV in the NBA and every other sport. Am I crazy? Naughty lady here in Texas, sports players are worshipped, unfortunately. Donna Marie saying, please don't argue in the chat. I don't know what the arguments are because I haven't been watching the chat, but while we're all here, if you could please hit the like button while we're here, that would be great. Helps the algorithm. If you're not subscribed and you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button below and also hit the notification bell to all notifications. Sometimes people say that they're not getting all the notifications, and that may be because you don't have that little bell checked off to the all notifications button. We're coming up to memberships pretty soon. I'm gonna say when I get to 10,000 subscribers, and we're close, we're like at 9,000. So if everyone who watches this video subscribes, we'll get to membership and we'll get to merch. Already planning in my head what I want the merch to be. Yeah, Monique, this is a good point. The difference between the fake allegations and real abuse. A true victim never wants the abuser to get in trouble. They just want the abuse to stop. They actually feel sorry for their abuser. It's sad. Is that what you think is happening? Is that what you think her statement from her lawyer is all about today by Kysre, that she's kind of walking back the allegations, but without saying really that she's walking them back? That poor girl needs a team behind her. This is horrible. Yep. How about us? We'll be the team. We're here. We're here for it. We are here for it. Yeah, Rosemary's Time. Hotel employees found her. Yep. It was like 6 in the morning. New York has gone to hell in a handbasket. Tell me about it. And I live here, so I can say that. Susan, false allegations happen, but clearly not this time, and not usually. I'll never forget hearing Nicole Brown Simpson's 911 calls. Oh my God, yeah. It's insane. Hi, Robbie. I know a lot of celebrity sports people here. Most feel they have some superpowers over people because of their status. Nil respect for women. If I were a woman, I would never date them. Tell that to the Kardashians, because they seem to date a lot of sports heroes. Yeah, Pierre, the medical records and call records are helpful. It's hard to fake lab tests. Yes, and they can also go by what was written in the medical record when she was transported to the hospital. Any statements that she made to the EMTs, any statements that she made in the hospital will be in the hospital record. They are, technically hearsay, but I hope to God she doesn't recant. I really do, because a guy like this is not going to stop. He's not going to stop. Yeah, false allegations are a huge issue, also not addressed with punishment in many cases, and they should be. I agree with you. They should be punished, false allegations. Remember Tawana Brawley? If you're from New York, you probably remember Tawana Brawley. How about Jussie Smollett? Anybody follow the Jussie Smollett case? false allegations. That was a rabbit hole I fell into as it was happening. Hi, Dave Bass. I knew a woman who had an apprehend violence order, and guess what? Yep, the offender is now doing life. Matters should never be allowed to get out of hand. Yeah, right. Exactly what has to happen. What has to happen for a guy to be held without bail? What has to happen? What has to happen for it to be attempted murder? Breaking somebody's neck enough? What if she was paralyzed because of the fracture? Because she wasn't paralyzed. I saw some video on Twitter and I didn't want to play it because it was very disturbing to me, but I think you can probably find it. And it was some video of her, Kysre, allegedly being held up on either side by two people and walking into a doorway of some kind. I don't remember if she's walking back into the hotel or but it was really hard to watch. I would like to see photos. I would like to see the police report. There's a lot of things that I'd like to see. And I got to think that the judge had access to it. I got to think he did. Like, because if he didn't, that is really poor lawyering. I mean, like, you know, it had been 24 hours by the time he was arraigned, or maybe a little bit more than 24 hours that since the incident happened. I would imagine that they had photographs, they had a police report, they had statements, they had a lot of information for the judge to take a look at. But in his infinite wisdom, he decided that we're just going to let this guy go on $75,000 cash. T-Mart, you are not crazy. Someone is guilting her, ruining his career, on and on. Someone is making her feel like she'll be hated or her life will be ruined if he goes forward. Yeah. And you know what? I want to go back to that statement. And I want to read it again because I think we need to dissect this a little bit more, because it's very, very carefully worded. This was today, again, at 2:11 p.m. Kysre Gondrezick is breaking her silence in the alleged Kevin Porter Jr. assault case, asking people to, quote, avoid speculation about what really happened in a New York hotel room on Monday morning before the Houston Rockets guard was arrested. We see this in a lot of cases where the victim, survivor, feels like they somehow are at fault for what happened to them. That if only I stayed awake and didn't lock the door, it's really my fault. Yeah, you know, it's my fault. Like, it's not his fault. You know, I was acting like a bitch, and you know, I probably set him off, and it's really my fault that this happened. That's what it kind of sounds like to me. Because the reports had been, you know, the complete opposite. Avoid speculation about what really happened in a New York hotel. What was allegedly, what really happened allegedly, was that she was sleeping and he beat the crap out of her, split her forehead open into a couple inches long gash, choke her until he fractured her neck and beat her bloody, and she crawled out into the hotel hallway. And that's reported by independent witnesses who work in the hotel, where she was found by hotel employees who then called 911. So we need to know what really happened in the hotel room, according to her attorney. We saw this also in the Ruby Frankie Jody Hildebrandt case, when that poor 12-year-old boy was able to escape from that monster Jody Hildebrandt's house through a window, and he had duct tape around his ankles and his wrists, and his wrists were bloody from the ropes that she had tied him up with. When he went to the neighbor's house, and we listened to the 911 call from the neighbor, the gentleman who broke down into tears while he was on the phone with 911 operator. And you could hear the little boy in the background saying, "It's all my fault. It's all my fault this happened." When victims are gaslit into believing that it's not their abuser's behavior that's the problem. It's their behavior. They must have done something to bring this on. And I'm not saying that that's what she's saying. I'm saying by dissecting these words, I'm getting a little closer to what I think might be happening behind the scenes from all of the work that I've done for 30 years with victims and survivors and my advocacy for them, that it is a common thing that happens. Then there's a source quoted, which I don't even want to read. This is what the attorney said. Again, we're going to read this. Robert Hantman, who is an attorney for Gondrezick, told the Post exclusively in a statement today, Ms. Gondrezick wants to express her deep appreciation for the public's support and prayers in regards to our client. Much that has been written in the press attributing statements to her are misleading and inaccurate. She has not granted nor released any statements on her own volition. Okay, that's interesting. So he's saying that whatever you read about in the papers, just because it's in the police report, doesn't mean that she said that and agreed that they could publish it, and she hasn't released any statements on her own, that whatever you're reading was written down by a detective or an investigator, and that even if they say that she said these things, he's walking it back and saying maybe she didn't really say these things. Then he goes on to say, she asks everyone to respect her privacy and avoid speculation as to what occurred and refrain from disclosing any misleading statements as to Mr. Porter. Okay, now she's protecting her abuser. Do you see that? Do you see what I'm talking about? She's protecting the abuser. Please don't judge him. Please don't come for him. Please don't cancel him. Please don't make him get fired. Because then how mad is he going to be? Oh, but he's got a protective order, so she should be fine, right? She should be fine. I fear for her. I fear for her safety. And, thank God, in a way, that what happened here was in the public eye, because if this kept escalating to a point where I have seen it escalate in a lot of the other cases that I've covered, she might not be here to give a statement, and that's horrifying. Thank you, Hudson, coming in with the facts. I love it. You're Oblivious Benson's friend, right? She says that you have all the intel. Fact, if a victim is strangled even one time, studies show she is 750% likely to be killed by her abuser. And you even have a citation there. Yes. Coming in with the deets. Oh my God. Baby doll, I don't know. Baby doll. I don't know about Memphis. I don't know about Memphis. I don't know what goes on in Memphis. I'm a New Yorker. Oh, you're asking Emerald. Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Okay, Emerald, maybe you could help Baby doll. Yes, Patroness Glow. I fear for her safety too. Me too. That's what this is about. I don't give a shit if they... Oh, I'm sorry. I don't like the cursey words. I'm sorry, you guys. Sometimes when I get really passionate about a subject, they sneak out. I don't care if this guy ever plays basketball again. I don't think he should ever be allowed to walk on the court again. I don't think that he should be paid another dime, but apparently, according to that tweet that we looked at earlier, he's guaranteed. He's guaranteed, no matter what he does, fully guaranteed $15.9 million for the 23-24 season. And he's guaranteed at least $1 million for the 24-25 season. There's all this contractual language here that I haven't had time to take a deep dive into, but apparently he's still going to make his money. So, but if he got traded to the Hornets, I don't know what happens to that. If anybody here is a sports contracts attorney that knows all about the NBA rules, regulations, collective bargaining agreements, reach out. Leah, she needs Gloria Allred. Yeah, except for that, it sounds like she's going to walk it back. I don't know. I hope she doesn't, because if she does, I don't think she will be the last victim. If it's true, innocent until proven guilty and all. The last sentence of that statement by the attorney says, she asks that the press and all officials, okay, so that she's talking the NBA, right? All officials. Or she's talking about the police. No, I think she's talking about the NBA. She asks that the press and all officials refrain from any judgment and speculation on this matter, which will be rectified properly and with integrity. Thank you, with an exclamation point after it. Thank you. Is she going to say she fell? I mean, I've handled a lot of cases of CA, and those kids who are abused by their parents who wind up in the ER always say they fell. They know what to say. I fell off my bike. I fell down the stairs. A lot of women will say, I walked into a door. That's why I have a black eye. I walked into a door. Because there's still, in some way, there's a weird Stockholm syndrome type love for their abuser, because they are so emotionally beaten into submission that they are gaslit and told that they will be nothing without this person. That this person is the best thing that ever happened to him. And it's heartbreaking to see this. Hit her with a closed fist numerous times, according to prosecutors, leaving her with a gash above her right eye, and added that after being taken to NYU Langone Medical Center's doctors confirmed that she had a fractured vertebra in her neck, according to the court filing. So, I mean, this is real. There's hospital records to back it up, and I want to show another picture of her because this needs to be about her. Imagine this beautiful woman thinking that she still wants to be with this guy, that like she's not good enough. Like, this is 2023. What are we teaching our daughters? Help me understand. Help me understand. Does anybody want to come into the comments and help me understand? How long were they together, Monique? I'm not sure. It said they got together last year, but they have since removed any trace of each other from their Instagrams. So I don't know. I don't know if anybody has access to the Google or and you can look it up when they got together. I don't know. I think they've been together for, I don't even know if it's been a year. My notes don't reflect that. I have the NBA policy on domestic violence, sexual assault, and CA here, but I didn't have a chance to go through it because it's really, really long. But it says here, for purposes of this policy, let's pull it up on the screen so that if we don't get a chance to read the whole thing, you can read it for yourself later. How about that? You can always pause on it and go back. And I'm here to help. I'm here to talk about the law instead of just ranting about what I think the law should be. So let's just take a look for a second at this. Okay, this is the joint NBA NBPA policy on domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse, or CA, as we have to say on YouTube, because apparently, as I've learned from following the Ruby Frankie case, you can commit CA on YouTube and that's okay. But if you say the actual words on YouTube, they will strike you, because that's not friendly to advertisers. But it's okay for you to abuse your child and withhold food and starve your child and threaten to cut off your child's head. I mean, not your child's head, sorry, your child's stuffed animal's head with scissors and all kinds of other crazy crap that, you know, Ruby Frankie did on her YouTube channel for 8 years, which was basically child abuse for everyone to see on YouTube, including these children's friends, which is why it's reported they didn't have any friends. How old is she? She's 26. My notes say that she's 26 and he is 23. Yeah. Emerald Rose, YouTube's insane with the word salad crap. I agree. What the hell? Like, I started saying like unalived and people are like, what is that? Unalived. I'm like, I don't know. It's the word police, right, Pierre? It's the word police. All right. So before we wrap, let's just take a look at the NBA policy on domestic violence and child abuse. So covered behavior. So it says here that for purposes of this policy, domestic violence includes but is not limited to any actual or attempted violent act that is committed by one party in an intimate or family relationship against another party in that relationship. Such an act may include physical assault or battery, SA, stalking, harassment, or other forms of physical or psychological abuse. It may also include behavior that intimidates, manipulates, humiliates, isolates, frightens, terrorizes, coerces, threatens, injures, or places another person in fear of bodily harm. Wow, I hope those lawyers didn't charge by the word because they covered it all. DV can be perpetrated by current or former spouses, current or former domestic or same-sex partners, persons who are living together or have cohabitated, persons with children in common, persons who have had or who have or had an intimate or dating relationship, and family members. DV can be a single act or a pattern of behavior in a relationship. Well, I mean, they pretty much covered it all there, right? Yeah, he is 23, Rochelle. Yeah, I think I said that right. That Kevin Porter is 23 and that Kysre Gondrezick is 26. So, I mean, like, he's a kid. And then they go on to SA, which we're not going to address right now, and CA, but that's not part of what we're talking about today. Says they're going to establish a joint committee to provide education, support, treatment, referrals, counseling, and other resources for the players. So yeah, let's just get him some counseling and hope that he can stop allegedly doing these things. But it's been proven that he's got anger management issues. I don't think
Shuffling anger management issues and similar songs on Amazon Music.
Alexa, off. She was about to play anger management songs. She was going to shuffle them for me. I didn't know there was such a thing. A whole playlist, apparently. Okay, so they have a committee, and they're going to, in order to prevent these incidents of DV, SA, and CA, they're going to do some educational programs and awareness training. So they probably make the players watch videos about it and then give them a little quiz at the end. They have to, you know, school them on what constitutes these offenses. They are also going to enact a hotline, 24-hour confidential hotline that can be used by players, their families, and other victims of DV, SA, and CA to seek assistance and referrals. Okay. And then they go on to treatment and intervention. All right. So they may refer a player to the policy committee in any of the following circumstances. As part of a disciplinary determination of the commissioner for conduct in violation of this policy. Oh, the commissioner, right, Adam Silver, the guy who we watched earlier, say that he was going to take some time to absorb this, and there was really no rush to investigate it because we're not in the middle of the season. Or after a player is criminally convicted of an offense that involves conduct in violation of this policy. Yeah, I saw a lot of tweets about that and a lot of comments and a lot of people saying, well, you know, the NBA can't do anything about it until after he's criminally convicted. So they got to wait and see what happens and how it plays out in court. Anybody want to take the wheel? I mean, come on. Okay, so after they do an evaluation, the policy committee will develop a treatment and accountability plan, a TAP, for the player as may be appropriate. They may require that the player go to psychological or other evaluations and or attend counseling sessions with a licensed professional and take other steps that it deems necessary. Send them to counseling. Like the priests. I told you I handled all the priest cases, right? Just send the priests to counseling and they won't essay any more of the kids in the parish because, you know, it works. Not. Okay, then after he goes through this training and counseling, he's got to get a certificate of completion from the policy committee in order to conclude his treatment and the oversight of the policy committee. So if he gets the certificate, then the policy committee doesn't need to oversee him anymore. He's good to go. And they talk about what happens if they do not comply with his TAP, which was, what was that again? Treatment and accountability plan. Okay, so he's got to have treatment and he's got to be accountable for the abuse that he's inflicted on a member of his family. And after he goes through all that and gets his certificate, if he doesn't do that, then he's going to have to pay $10,000 for each day that he fails to comply. Because, you know, if you're making $15 million a year, it's a couple of days, $10,000 a day. It's like lunch money. Oh, and then through a pattern of behavior, if he's demonstrated substantial noncompliance without a reasonable explanation, through a pattern of behavior that demonstrates a mindful disregard for his treatment responsibilities, it shall notify the NBA, which shall thereupon impose a 1-game suspension for the first instance of noncompliance and a suspension that is at least 1 game longer than he's immediately preceding suspension for each additional instance of substantial noncompliance that shall continue until, in the judgment of the policy committee, the player resumes full compliance with its directives, including with this TAP. I'm a lawyer, and this is making my eyes glaze over. Tracy, then the policy committee needs to be held responsible also after he kills someone. Amen, sister. Amen. Kind of, sort of love Leanne. Kind of, sort of Leanne. All right. Kind of, sort of Leanne. Tap, like a tap on the wrist. Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Angela. Oh, Angela, you're a Ranger fan too. And you also live out here on Long Island. So go Rangers. I can't wait for hockey season to start. I feel like I'm so like, I have nothing to do. Yeah. Once the Rangers start, I don't know. I'm going to have to schedule my lives around the Ranger games, but we'll see. All right. So any costs of the training, education, treatment, intervention, and other resources will be shared equally by the parties. I don't know what parties they're talking about, if it's the offender or his team or otherwise covered by the NBA Players Group Health. They've got some policy in place. Investigation of incidents. The NBA will give the NBPA and the player prompt notice of the commencement of any investigation into an alleged violation of this policy. Okay, so you better be on your best behavior because we are going to be investigating you. We are putting you on notice. This is not like an internal affairs investigation where, I don't know, any law enforcement in the chat, do they tell you if internal affairs is investigating you? Or is that something that's like kept secret, like the grand jury is kept secret? And I talk about cooperation. Players shall fully cooperate. I'm just going to scroll through this so you guys can come back and read it. While an investigation is pending, the commissioner may at any time place the player on administrative leave without pay for a reasonable period of time. Yeah, but I think we learned, according to Adam Silver's statement, that they couldn't really start their investigation until maybe the criminal investigation was played out. So, oy vey. Here's the relevant factors that it's non-exhaustive apparently in deciding whether to place a player on paid administrative leave. The nature and severity of the allegations, including whether a weapon was involved and whether any injury was suffered by anyone. Are your bare hands considered a weapon? I would submit to you that they are, because you could kill someone with your bare hands, especially if you had some real anger management issues that were documented. Whether the allegations are supported by credible information, that's interesting. Information regarding the player's history of prior similar conduct or lack thereof. I guess they're trying to address false allegations here. The status of any criminal investigation and or prosecution regarding the alleged incident, including whether any arrests have been made. Well, that happened. Oh, the player's reputation within the NBA community. Well, he's a really great player, so we don't want to lose him. The risk of reputational damage to the NBA and or the player's team. Hence, we saw the hot potato going on today. Hot potato, who wants him? There seems to be a grievance and arbitration provision. Discipline, what they can do to you if they find that you engaged in prohibited conduct in violation of this policy. So it's a pretty exhaustive policy. But here's the confidentiality provision. Wow, the parties will maintain confidentiality throughout the investigatory, disciplinary, and treatment process and will take reasonable measures to protect the information gathered pursuant to this policy, including by any outside advisors or experts. Sounds like a gag order. No retaliation. Anyone who is the victim or, oh, look, it ends right there. I can't even scroll any further. Reporting. Anyone who is the victim of or acting on behalf of a victim of DVSA or CA as defined by this policy is strongly encouraged to call the hotline established under this policy and as soon as possible after the incident to discuss the availability of counseling, treatment, security, and other appropriate resources. So is the burden now on Kysre or her lawyer to call this hotline? Or are they just going to take like a judge would take judicial notice of something that's obvious? Are they just going to take a committee notice that this actually happened because he was arrested and there's a video of him walking out of the jailhouse and there's a police report and some medical records? I don't know. Questions, comments, concerns before we wrap for the day. Thank you for validating me in my thoughts that I may be crazy by thinking I was in the twilight zone with regard to this case. Thank you, Peter Pranzo, retired law enforcement, also one of my moderators. While Internal Affairs is conducting an investigation, usually not, although in some investigations they might inform you that you have an outstanding complaint. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought they're trying to keep it on the QT, right? Yep. Hi, Jackie. Thank you for your visceral response to this horrific act. You are on the right track to expose the misogyny and gaslighting. Yeah. Yeah, and the bail reform. If you live in New York, you should be outraged by this. Outraged. And not just because he's a baller and he's a guy who makes a ton of money and he's a famous athlete. It's about the victims. How many perpetrators like this is a very violent incident, if it's true, because innocent until proven guilty, but she does have a medical record with a broken vertebrae. So, you know, how many other cases like this that are this egregious, that are this violent, that are this horrific, are these guys just let go? walking back on the street? How many of them go reoffend? How many of them, because we see how well the bail reform's working with the shoplifters that are getting caught in the city and being let out on just a ticket to come back, and then they go out and they take something off the second shelf, everything off of the Walgreens shelf, and that's why our drugstores in New York City are empty, because the security guy at the door who's making $20 an hour is not going to stop you from stealing because it's not worth getting shot over. He's going to hold the door open. Hey, did you forget anything? You want to fill that other bag up that you have? It's unbelievable what's going on here. And I don't want to get into politics. I just want to get into common sense. Common sense, right and wrong. What are we doing? What are we doing? Thank you, Pierre. I'm outraged. I don't even live in New York. Cheryl, he will be coming back to court on October 16th if, the charges aren't dropped by then, or we'll see. Yeah, the police report is a public record. I just could not. Thanks, Princess Mish. Also one of my moderators. You guys are amazing. The moderators on my channel are the best. Donna Marie, Princess Mish, Rochella Peter Pranzo, just to name a few. And they keep the chat classy. So thank you guys so much for your hard work. I know some days more than others, the chat can get crazy and people are fighting. And yeah, it is a public record, but I could not access it before I came on tonight. I'm sure it's going to leak. I'm sure we could make a FOIL request and get a copy of it. I would love to see body cam footage. That's what I want to see, the body cam footage. Questions, concerns. Tell me what you want to talk about next in the comments. I love to read your comments. I love to respond to them when I have time, but please be nice in the comments. No attacking me, no attacking my guests, no attacking each other. Or you will be deleted and you will be blocked, and you don't want that because we have a lot of fun here. Even though we are, tackling all the tough topics. That's good alliteration on my part. Nice job. So let's keep it classy. Let's come back to discuss this. I had a list of other things that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I don't know where my list is now, but there was some stuff on Kohberger today about cameras in the courtroom. I don't know what happened with that motion. The sentencing for Trezell and Jacqueline West has been put over. That was supposed to happen today. If you followed that case with me and mostly Duty Ron, they were supposed to be sentenced today. That has been put over to September 28th because they are saying there may potentially be new evidence. I don't know what new evidence. Oh, I like that, Pierre. Right or wrong? What are we doing? Merch idea. Yeah. Also, I am not a cupcake t-shirts. Come for me in the comments. If you guys have any other ideas for merch or slogans or, emojis or whatever, let me know in the comments. Also, for when I start memberships, let me know what perks you like to see. I know many of you are probably members of other channels. What perks do you want? What's important to you? What would be a cool thing to have, as a perk that nobody's doing that you really wish you had in other channels that you follow? So we got that stuff. We got Heuermann. We got another person who's coming out and saying that Heuermann stalked her, but luckily she's still alive. That's really a quick story. So I'll tell you, Heuermann, who is the accused Long Island serial killer, apparently one of his former coworkers, came out and said that she was going on vacation. She was going on a cruise. And he was like, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" She's like, "I'm not telling you where I'm going." He's like, "Oh, I will find you. I'm a hunter." And she's on this cruise to wherever she's going. And she gets a note slipped under her cabin door on this cruise that says, "I told you I could find you. I'm a hunter." And that's a 48-hour story that's coming out. Keep it classy. Yeah, I like that one too. I like that one too, Cheryl. Thanks. So watch for that 48 hours interview with another Heuermann. We can see now that he's a stalker and a hunter. And I'll be in court for his appearance, which I think, getting all my dates mixed up, but I think he's going back to court September 28th. I was in court for Jimmy Burke on Monday, 9/11. I did a show on that. If you're interested in that, told you what happened. And I wanted to do a tribute to the victims of the escaped prisoner from Pennsylvania, but people are saying that's already been done. I like to be original in my ideas. I'm not here just for likes, clicks, and views. I really want to talk about the stuff that's important to you. So let me know. Let me know what's important to you. And we're here for it. We are here for it. We will cover it. We got to do something. We got to do something about this bail reform. In my opinion, this guy should be in jail right now. He should not have been let out. Keep him there for a little while, like other states would do. And let's just investigate a little bit and see, if there's a reason to hold him, if she's really in danger, if this protective order is maybe violated, if there's ever been a protective order issued against him in any other state with regard to any other victims. Apparently we just know from our little deep dive today that there was a lot of prior incidents of violence and problems with this guy. So again, keep it classy. I'm going to see you guys real soon. Let me know what you want to talk about next. I was just so angry about this. I had to come on. Thank you for letting me vent. And I hope that we learned something and we learned about some of the things that we need to change. But, there's always something to learn and there's always something else to change. So I'm here for it. You're here for it. I know you are. I love you guys. Keep it classy. Thank you to my moderators for keeping it classy. As always, thank you to anybody who sent me a super chat, a super stickers, and bought me a matcha latte, which I wouldn't even know because that's in my email. I'm trying to focus on you guys. I will see you real soon. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight, guys. Have a great night.